Now we're going to talk about the second essay. And the second essay is going to be on reading comprehension. Going back to the spectrum, we have passed the word analysis one, which is the learn to read, and now we're into the world of reading to learn. And within the world of reading to learn, it's all about reading comprehension. Most of it is based in in fiction, sorry, in literal, imaginary. I haven't really seen anything in nonfiction. But if it's a nonfiction, then you use the other structure. Remember in the videos that we watch for reading comprehension, go back to those. But they're all based on literal, inferential, and critical thinking and high-level vocabulary, right? The one I got was actually, I was really excited by the one that I got because it's based on the Alpha movie. I don't know if you've ever seen Alpha, the first wolf that became the dog, and the first and the primitive man. And I didn't know it was actually a children's story. And so this was what I was given, and I was given a retell by a third grader. So again, we see this world between third grade and fourth grade. And really, those are the grades to assess if the child has a grasp of decoding and has a grasp of reading comprehension, because it's a defining year. I mean, that's why they have SBACs that year. That's when you can really see where they're at. And they say that third grade performance is a marker for high school performance, right? Because third grade is shown that does this child have a true foundation? All right, so we're gonna jump right into it. Thinking about the coding again, right? And I know I throw a lot of codes at you, but when I do the video on just the overall, the day you are going to take the test, I'm gonna give you one simple tip that you can do, right? Write all the entire spectrum, just write it on the side of your paper, but I'm gonna show you that when I do that video. So the first one is going to be literal or factual. We could say L for literal, I for inferential, and C for critical thinking. And then I know with the literal, I'm going for character names, sequence, and details. And inferential, we have character motivation, traits, and feelings. And if you have a true understanding of reading comprehensions and the levels, you're probably not even going to need these, right? But it's good to just have it. And then critical thinking. We have lesson learned and problem and solution. There's another little trick also we teach first grader where you put your hand up and you say character, motivation, feeling, lesson learned, problem solution. You know, there's with 5 little fingers of a retell. You can do that too, because all of this is definitely based in retell. So if you want to look up the 5 hands of the retell, or I'll also put it inside the resource. All right, so we're going to once again go through the paragraph structure, right? And the same thing with the word analysis, use your official terminology. You're going to mention the strength and the weakness in reading comprehension. You're going to talk about the weakness. So you're going to give the weakness, give the example, give the weakness, give the example. Same thing with the retell, the character motivation. The strength. So you're going to give your strength and then your example, your strength and your example. And then you're going to give some type of reasoning as why this might affect the fluency. Again, use the terminology. Say words like retell, comprehension, fluency. So let's look at the story. We have the story here of the boy who cried wolf. I'm going to go ahead and read the story. And I really want you to focus on what it actually says, because then I'm going to show you a retell. Here we go. There once was a boy who lived in a village up in the mountains. His family owned many sheep. The boy had a job, and that job was to watch the sheep. If the wolf came near, he needed to call for help. His sheep stayed on the hill near the village, where he watched them every day. One day, he thought of a trick he would play on the people who lived in the village. He was bored, so he thought this would be a way to have fun. He ran towards the village, crying out loud for help. He shouted, "Wolf, wolf, come and help! The wolves are on my lambs. The wolves are trying to eat them." There were many villagers in the town. There were many villagers in the town. They heard him cry and thought that they had to help. So the kind villagers left their work and ran to the fields to help him. They would try to help him chase away the wolves and protect the lambs. However, when the villagers got there, the boy laughed at them. There was no wolf. There was no wolf. He just wanted to watch them come running. He thought it was funny. Then another day, the boy tried the same trick. Once again, the villagers came running to help him out, and once again, the boy laughed at them. Then one day, a wolf really did come, and it started chasing the lambs. In a great fright, the boy ran for help. Wolf, wolf, he screamed, there's a wolf, please help, 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 please. All the villagers heard him, but this time they did not come. They thought he was pulling another mean trick. They had learned their lesson and did not need to be laughed at again. So no one paid attention to him, and the shepherd boy lost his sheep. They all ran away. When the people in the village found out what had happened, they were sorry, but they told the boy it was his fault. That is the kind of thing that happens to people who lie. Even when they tell the truth, no one believes them. People are just so used to their lies. So that's the actual story. And this is very similar, something that they're going to give you. They're going to give you a story that you need to read, and then they're going to give you the read. So before I start detail, I'm going to go ahead and write my notes on the side. In reading comprehension, I'm looking for literal, inferential, and critical thinking. I'm looking for character names, sequence, and details. I'm looking for motivation, feeling, and traits. And I'm looking for problem solution with a lesson learned. Boom. And so we are looking for strength 1, strength 2, weakness 1, weakness 2. Here we go. This is what the boy said. So I read it several times. Let me read it once through. There was a boy who lived in the mountains. He had to watch the sheep, but a dog sometimes came to try to eat the sheep. He played a trick on the people of the village. He started to scream out that the wolf dog was coming to eat the sheep. The people in the village came to help him, but it was a joke, so he was laughing and he thought it was funny. Then one day it really happened and the people didn't come to help because they were really busy, and because I didn't think that the other joke, or they didn't think the other joke was funny. He actually needed help. The wolf dog ate all the sheep, and then it was his fault. The lesson is that you shouldn't play tricks on people, because when you might need their help, they won't come to help. Okay? So just off the bat, I see strengths and weaknesses. The first thing I see are strengths. He mentions in literal, he mentions the boy, the villagers, mentions the sheep. Now he identifies the sheep as a wolf, so that might be a little issue there, but he's able to get the overall characters. So we're gonna put the literal stuff. He has the characters, and he's also saying things in sequential order. So he has a really good grip on the literal information, the facts. So the example I would give is this boy, during his retell, this boy is able to identify literal facts from the story. He's able to identify most, if not all, the characters in the story and retell them with great detail in sequential order. Perfect. The literal is down. The other strength that this child has would be on the details, right? He really gives details, really, really strong details. I mean, the other strength that he has is in inferential, with feeling. He's able to identify that he thought it was funny. He's able to identify that the villagers did not think it was funny, right? So the story doesn't talk about that the villagers didn't think it was funny. They just thought it was like angry, like you shouldn't do that. And he figured out that he thought it was funny because the boy was laughing at his own joke. If I go back in the story, and this is why you're going to have it hand by hand, it really doesn't say, like, however, when the villagers got there, the boy laughed at them, right? He thought it was funny. And then when the villagers came back, they didn't want to be laughed again. So that's an inferential of the kid saying, oh, well, they actually like, he understands character feeling. So I'm gonna go ahead, erase this detail because I think the detail goes up, and I'm gonna say he has a good grasp on really identifying character feeling. What I think he's not really identifying well is, I think, like a little bit of character motivation. He says here that the people were busy. Well, yeah, they were busy. But also he didn't identify that the people didn't go to help because not that they didn't want to be, like, they didn't think that they thought it was a joke, it was another trick. He just said that they didn't come to help because they were busy and because they think that it was that the joke wasn't funny, right? So that's kind of a little bit of a weakness. I could probably search for a better weakness. Let's go to problem and solution. Was the child able to identify the problem? Well, the problem here was that he screamed, dog or wolf or whatever this kid is saying, and they didn't come. So let's see what he says. Then one day it actually happened. The people didn't come to help because they were really busy and because they didn't think that the other joke was funny. So definitely he couldn't identify the motivation of the village people. It wasn't that they didn't think it was funny, it's that they thought he was lying. He actually needed help. The wolf dog ate all the sheep. Well, that's another thing. First of all, he did not eat all the sheep. Nowhere does it say that they ate all the sheep. Actually, the sheep ran away. If you go back and see the text, the sheep ran away. And that it was all his fault. Actually, what the villagers said is that it was his fault for lying. So that's like another motivation there, even a problem and solution. Let's see if he gets the lesson. The lesson is that you shouldn't trick people because when you might need their help, they won't come and help. Well, that's another problem. Yeah, that's a little bit of the lesson, but it's not the major lesson of the story. If we go back to the lesson of the story, the lesson is, even when they tell the truth, no one believes liars. People are just not used to their lies. So the thing here is, the lesson here is about lies. Like, you shouldn't lie because when you need them to believe you, they're not going to believe you, right? So this is kind of what I've got. When I went back and truly like broke down and analyzed this is what I got. I got strength, chronological order, great. Strength, major details, great. Strength, named most characters accurately. Remember, the only character he didn't answer accurately was the dog one. They said dog, a wolf dog. A weakness, not identifying character motivation. I said that. Having a little bit trouble with character feeling also. Inadequate lesson learned. Yeah. And this knowledge area here is just the thing about the low level vocabulary and a wolf dog. There's no such thing as a wolf dog. But again, you just have to choose two of these. So again, this is an example, and this is not an example of this exact story. This is more of an example of another story that I gave somebody working through this workshop. And this is the one in the pre-diagnostic, right? I'm going to read it. Throughout Tyler's retail, good, you said the word retail, of the passage, she shows both strengths and weaknesses. A strength of Tyler's is that it is better than her retail is in literal comprehension. Okay, you could have said that a little better. Literal comprehension is understanding at a basic level what is happening in the story and the main idea of the passage. Well, not really. Literal is the factual understanding of the story, right? Like, yeah, basic level. What do you mean basic level? right? What does that actually mean? Because I can identify character motivation. That's also a basic level, right? So you basically want to actually define literal comprehension, are the factual details, not the main idea of the story, because actually the main idea is more of like a lesson learned and a problem solution. Tyler accurate identify that Aunt Eleven has some purple boots with sparkles on them. Okay, so now you're able to give details of this literal. Fine, but I mean, I already see a problem because you didn't really actually define it. And what type of literal fact? Was this about the characters? Was this about sequential order? You know, she also understood the solution. Okay, but what is the solution of the story? How does that contribute? How does that help? And then I found it very funny because all the way at the end, she's like, a weakness is Tyler's evidence, couldn't even identify weakness, right? After going through this and really taking on the structure of the essay the way I asked, and just going through the entire workshop and understanding what we're looking for, this is what she ends up writing in the post-diagnostic. You have a 3-paragraph essay, super strong. I want to point out these things here. Look, instead of saying just literal comprehension and the basic details, the person says literal comprehension, identify character names, boom. Another strength in the retell is identifying the solution, boom. That's a strength in critical thinking skills. The retell states the solution of the story. Like right there, character, you're saying identifying solution, critical thinking skills, giving that proof in quotations, good. So here's a weakness. So where she told me I need help with the weakness, let's see what happens here. One of the weakness in the retell is inferential comprehension. Yes, unable to identify events in sequential order. That was really good, although this should be more into the literal, but even just using events in sequential order throughout the story is really strong. Omitting character motivation, why Emma wanted to give the boots. That's wonderful. Like using high level words, giving examples inside of quotations. And then at the end wrote that paragraph, right? That puts it all together and what would be the solution. So like this one right here would be a 1. That's clearly a 1. This is closer to a 3. Okay. And again, you have to use all the knowledge from the multiple choice questions and all the foundation videos in order to answer this. Because at the end of the day, you're writing in words what you see. That intuition as a teacher that you have, whether to pass the student to the next level or retain them, is based on this. You just have to put them in words and use that official language. In the next video, I'm just going to give you a quick overview on testing day, the best practices in order for you to be successful on that day.